everybody, and welcome to the Positively Disney podcast. I'm Kimberly Bouchard, the author of the Positively Disney book series and the host of the show tonight. Oh my goodness, I am so excited about my guest tonight. But before I introduce her, let's chat a wee bit. I hope you guys are doing well. And oh my goodness, this is Halloween week. I don't know about you guys, but I've got my place decorated a wee bit and have been celebrating more than I thought I would this month. My goodness. So interestingly, speaking about this month, today, in fact, October 28th in 1990, on the magical world of Disney, a show called Disney's Halloween Treat debuted on the Disney Channel. And actually, it originally was on The Wonderful World of Disney in 1982. I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen it, but it looks really fun. And what it is, it's sort of a compilation of animated shorts and features, all about sort of spooky and supernatural themes to it. So if you guys want to check that out, I think it is available. Well, it is available on YouTube if you want to see on YouTube. I am not aware of it being on Disney Plus as of yet, because I have been kind of watching some of the Halloween films and cartoons on Disney Plus lately. So it's you can find it on YouTube, though. It's really quite going to be good. Before I go on, I want to just thank my sponsor, Michelle McCune, over at Ears of Experience. If you want a terrific vacation wherever you are in the world, she's your gal, and she will offer you the best possible packages, price watches. I know she saved me $700 right off the bat on my trip in August to Walt Disney World. So she's very, very good about watching for deals that come about and let you know about them. At any rate, she also offers texting privileges wherever you are as well. So reach out to her, MMCKEOWN at themouseexperts.com, and let her know that I have sent you. The wonderful thing about Halloween is there's all kinds of things that go on. And believe it or not, this day also in 2001, Monsters Inc. was released, the Disney Pixar fun animation. I fell in love with Sully and just the whole gang in Monsters Inc. And I actually saw that it is showing in our local theater. Our local theaters have opened up, and I'm so grateful for that. It's kind of nice to do something somewhat normal like that. But it actually debuted at a theater in Hollywood called El Capitan, and I had the very good fortune to be at the El Capitan just this past Saturday afternoon. It wasn't open to the public, but I was very fortunate to be able to walk in and take just a wee peek around. But what I was there for is they offer a variety of Disney desserts, in the sense that take home desserts or treats, will, if you will. I got some Mickey pretzels. They offer churros, popcorn buckets. I got the poison apple sippy cup that lights up. And it was good fun trying to bring all that stuff home on the plane this past weekend. But it was really neat to be able to go and walk around the theater there and see the different stars in the sidewalk. Roy Disney, I came across Tim Allen, Donald Duck, just everybody. It was just really, really neat. But El Capitan Theater this day in 2001. Another fun thing that happened today, exactly on the 28th, it was back in 2004. A fellow named Jay Sharp, Dr. Sharp, actually, his name is. He's a doctor and a lawyer. He won an auction of, it was like 37,000 something, for his own tombstone in the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland. And I was just chatting with him earlier today, and he remembers that day very, very well. And so fun. His tombstone reads, J, doctor, lawyer, legal clerk, forever buried in his work. And you can actually see the tombstone. It's located in the graveyard part just on to your left. And the only reason why I saw it is actually there was a ribbon, and I think Sally was leaning nearby it with the overlay that they normally put up for the for Halloween, and it's the Nightmare Before Christmas. But at any rate, if you next time you are in Disneyland when it opens, take a look for that tombstone. And he was very, very well. Just gave it went to a charity, and he was in a position that he could help out, so it was really nice. I just want to say thank you for joining me, Paul and Michelle. It's always good to see you guys, and I wish you guys a lovely Halloween weekend, Paul, as well. I'm not sure, I think it's very, very late for you over there in the UK. I don't know about you guys, but I've been kind of catching a few different movies. One of my favorite Disney films for Halloween is Hocus Pocus. There was a young Frankenstein with Gene Wilder in black and white on at a party that I was at recently, and I have to check out that one because it looks really fun. But another one that I came across that I remember seeing parts of it. Well, I must have seen the whole thing, but I remember parts of it when I was a little girl, and it was on The Wonderful World of Disney. Of course, we were all watching that Sunday nights, but it's called The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. You guys, it's so campy. It's so fun, black and white with Don Knotts. And interestingly, you'll see some of the old time characters. You'll see the second Darren from Bewitched, her second husband, Bewitched. You will see Gladys Kravitz in there. You will see a few others. And it was just really fun to kind of walk down memory lane. And Don Knotts is so wonderful in that show. That is on Disney Plus. So check it out, you guys, if you can, and enjoy, some of those other Halloween movies. And I'm not one that really watches scary movies because I would have to sleep with the lights on then. I'm just not that kind of person. But The Ghost and Mr. Chicken is just a hoot and a half. I hope my kids have a chance to see it sometime. So without further ado, I'm going to have our guest on momentarily. Lovely Vanessa Marshall. My goodness. She's the daughter of Joan Van Ark. If you remember Joan Van Ark in days gone by, she's an actress. She's a voice actress. She's done films, cartoons, video games. She's a singer. She's a model. She's everything, actually. But mostly she's a very lovely, lovely person. So we're going to just get her on the line. I'm going to take a little sip of water in the moment. There we go. Got a dial tone. We'll just wait till she picks up. Sit back and enjoy.
Hello.
Hi, Vanessa. It's Kimberly Bouchard. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Vanessa, thank you so much for taking the time out of your crazy busy schedule, my dear.
I'm honored to talk to you always.
Oh, thank you, Vanessa. I was introducing you, and I just, I'd said you're an actress, you're a voice actress, you're a singer, you're a model. I mean, you're everything. I don't know if there's something you can't do, because I do know you're also a good cook. But, let's talk about your voice acting. That seems to be just unbelievable, and you have many voices to your name. Could you tell us about a few of them?
Well, yes, absolutely. I've been doing voiceover since 1997 now, and
wow.
Yeah, I've played Hera in Star Wars Rebels and Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy, and Wonder Woman in various different shows. Currently in the Harley Quinn cartoon that's going on, Black Widow in The Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Black Canary in Young Justice, Mary Jane in Spectacular Spider-Man. Wow. And there's an Yeah, there's all kinds. I got to play Dennis the Menace in a new version, so that was fun to play a little boy.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and there's another show that I'm doing currently. It's called Final Space, and it's on Adult Swim, and I get to play this sort of evil character who talks like this.
Oh my gosh!
So there's a lot of range in there.
Yeah, I'm thinking. It's kind of funny because most people that I know that play an evil character via voice acting or acting, they are like the nicest people in the world. And
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about you guys, but they pick the nicest people to play sometimes those characters that, they have to pull something out inside them, right?
Yeah. Well, I think we're all like incredibly lucky to do what we get to do.
Yeah, for sure. I can't imagine. I just, it blows me away really that you have all these voices that you can call upon, and I'm wondering, like, how in the world did you become interested in voice acting?
Well, it was an interesting journey. I went to Princeton University for undergrad. I majored in English, so I can read it out loud. And
That's a good start.
Yeah, I ended up going to NYU graduate school for acting. And that's an interesting story. A friend of mine needed a scene partner. He wanted to go to graduate acting, and I ended up doing the scene with him to help him out. He didn't get in, but I did.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Out of 2,000 people, 20 were accepted. And I thought, oh gosh, maybe I should go.
Yeah.
So I ended up going, strangely. And then beyond that, I graduated from there. That was back east. I grew up here in Los Angeles. I returned back home and started doing sketch comedy and stand-up comedy, and created a one-woman show for myself in which I played all sorts of different characters, different voices. And one of my voiceover agents, who's still my voiceover agent, and I've been at the same agency since the beginning,
right?
She said, you might want to try animation. So I went into the office and I read some stuff, and they said, yeah, we'd love to try to work with you. So that was very lucky. And I just started taking classes, and after about a year, I started working, and then, I've just been doing it ever since, and I just love it. There's so much more flexibility with voiceover. I really enjoy the invisibility of it. Voiceover actors we can do anything for a very long time, whereas on camera, you're sort of, you have to sort of follow a certain type that you look like, whereas I can play little boys, and there's a lot of freedom in it. And also, as far as like being recognized goes, not a lot of people know who I am, which is also great. I grew up here in Los Angeles. My mom, her name is Joan Van Ark. She was on Knots Landing in Dallas, and my dad was a news reporter, and so they were always in the public eye, and I always saw sort of the tabloids and paparazzi going after them. And so that's why I never really thought that this was for me. I appreciate my privacy. Yeah. And so voiceover is kind of the best of
both worlds.
The best in terms of, you get to play and tell stories, but you can stay sort of low key about the whole thing. So I love it.
Oh, that is awesome. Now, do you have to, are there exercises that you have to do to prepare when you are preparing for a character, or like, do they give you that kind of freedom to develop a voice character, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, there are exercises that I can do if I want to. Usually, it seems like the characters that are more sort of accented or something like that. Usually, if I'm playing a British character, I'll do more of the elocution exercises prior, just to make sure that I'm fully vocally awake.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, as far as creating a character, I think I get a piece of voiceover copy, an audition sent to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do my best to sort of study it and create a character, and and I send that in, and sometimes it lands, and sometimes it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just sort of a fun game, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the best way to approach it is to just sort of be the humble student, the eternal student, and that
Right.
way, you just live and learn, and the process is the point, and it's not about results. It's really about sort of refining. If God gives us gifts, we sort of get out of the way and learn how we can do better.
Right. Right. Yeah.
With each opportunity. So
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
yeah,
So let's talk a little Star Wars here. Now you've played actually several characters. Not
yes.
and I think that is I think that'd be an absolute blast myself. But can you tell us about them and your sort of your journey a little bit with Lucasfilm?
Yes. Well, long ago, my first video game that I ever did was a game for them. I played Jan Ors in a Jedi Knights video game,
Mm,
and that was an honor. But I'm not much of a video game person, so
right.
that it doesn't really impact me insofar as I never played the game. Um, but I of course love participating in any Star Wars narrative.
Hmm.
That was sort of my first interaction with Lucasfilm, and then when Star Wars Rebels came along, I got an audition for a show. It was called Wolves at the time, or
Hmm.
Wolf rather.
Oh
Sorry.
yes. Hmm.
And I didn't know what it was for, but it mentioned a light sword and the cause. And so immediately I thought of lightsabers. And given that I'm such a huge Star Wars fan, I kind of projected my own ethos onto the
Hmm.
words.
Hmm.
And I had a great time. And I guess the specificity of that choice really worked for me. And they ended up hiring me. I got called back, and that's when I figured out what the heck Wolf really was.
Right.
And then I booked the job, and I just couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, I think that's just I mean to be able to do what you do and then have it reach that magnitude must have been a personal accomplishment to be very proud of, I would think. I mean, all your work really, but I mean that is just something way out there, really, you know?
Yeah, I really am just so grateful to have had the honor to work with them. And most recently, we worked on another video game, and in this instance, it was a motion capture game, which I've never done,
Mm.
which kind of allowed all of my training to come together
Mhm.
insofar as they make you put on a luge suit with these sensors, and you have to
Oh,
memorize the scene. And so it was really like doing an on-camera job,
yeah.
because the cameras needed to catch the movement of my body as Hera. But
Wow.
that video game Squadrons came out, and again, I don't play video games, so I
Right,
haven't seen
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But that was sort of taking it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And ironically, the director who directed me in that first Star Wars game is Jan Ors. He
Okay.
was the director for the mocap game, so it kind of came full circle. It was really great.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Is I mean, you have done so many projects. I mean, I lost track of how many things you've done, really. I mean, hundreds really and even if I was reading about one particular cartoon or animation or whatever, you would have multiple voices in it, so I have no idea. I lost count a long time ago. But is is there a particular project, Vanessa, that you worked on that made an impression more than others?
Well, of course, Hera, I think, made a huge impression,
Okay.
because, first of all, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Second of
Right.
all, her worldview, her ethics, her ideology, her nurturing. and her humor are all sort of a very big part of my heart and who I am. So I'm also a martial artist, and I was able to sort of bring that level of confidence, knowing that I can defend myself. I think that colored the read. And my father is also a pilot, and Hera is an amazing pilot. And so I was able to kind of tap into my father's experience being a pilot. So I think of all the roles, Hera felt the most deeply personal.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, as I said, to do the mocap version of her where I'm sort of walking and talking as her as opposed to just reading it off the page.
Right.
I was able to more fully embody her or bring out those elements in myself in real time.
Yeah.
And it was just, that was really magical.
Oh my goodness. And I don't think I knew that you're a martial artist. See, I mean, like, look at the list keeps going on and on here. But it's everything that you need to do what you do best, and I think I love that. I think that's wonderful. My gosh. What do you think, Vanessa, is your favorite part of, I don't like to call it a job, but of your career but for the sake of argument, I guess job, but what is your favorite part of all of this?
Well, I think actually it's the family that one finds in not only the voiceover community itself, but in the fandoms. I feel like I've made lifelong friends in the different franchises, whether it's Star Wars or Disney. And I just feel like there are these indelible bonds that are formed. I think specifically with the other cast members of Rebels, we all became very, very close over the 4 seasons.
Right.
And, within those 4 seasons, going to Star Wars Celebration and to different conventions and Star Wars weekends and all these events where I was able to meet a bunch of really cool people that I never would have known otherwise.
Right.
And now, we're all sort of hanging tough in the pandemic together. So it's just, you never know where you're going to find your family.
Yeah. That I think that's really true, that this is your extended family and it keeps growing really. When you think about it. And I think you're you're very fortunate to be able to participate in these conventions and get to meet people face to face, because it's nice that you make a difference. It's kind of right there. It's evident from the meeting you that you do make a difference in your work. And I think that's the most important thing, actually, to be making a difference out there, right? Yeah,
I'm so lucky to be able to just feel the impact of it, really. And I mean, and I know about it firsthand because I think as a huge fan of the Clone Wars, much of that content, it is so near and dear to me that, I mean, when I met Ashley Eckstein, I totally cried. I just wept, as a fellow fan, I mean, those were great stories that were told, and I'm just so moved to be near them, or near the creators of them.
Right.
So I think I plug in as a fan, and also I'm able to professionally plug in and just do my job.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of a twofold, it's a win-win situation.
Right. And I just cannot imagine being involved in the Star Wars franchise that somebody wouldn't be a fan also. I can't see that disconnect. I think there'd have to be some kind of connection. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Being a California native, I'm not sure if you grew up near Disneyland or what, but did you have an opportunity to go to the parks? That might sound silly, but sometimes people do. I did. Oh, you did? Okay.
Not as often as people do today.
Okay.
Because it was, back then, it was sort of a very special thing that was reserved to sort of once in a lifetime. Now it's like people drive down there all the time, every weekend, you have season passes, this and that. But it wasn't like that when I was growing up. I lived about 45 minutes away.
Okay.
From the park, and I grew up on a block with a bunch of kids, and my next door neighbors took me along with their kids as sort of like an outing.
Oh, okay.
And so I was able to kind of ride on their coattails and go down there. And it really was the most magical place on earth. I'd never seen anything like it. And my favorite ride would have to be Pirates of the Caribbean or the Haunted House.
Oh yeah. Me too. You know, and I love it. Those are my two go-to attractions without a doubt, whether I'm at Disneyland or Walt Disney World. And, you know, I was just sharing with folks, I had a fellow on my show last October, and he won an auction to have his own tombstone at Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Believe it or not, can you imagine?
Oh my goodness!
I know, right? I know.
That's so cool.
I know. So it's there. It's like he can go and he can see his tombstone in the cemetery area to the left. And I was telling folks his name is Jay. He's actually a doctor and a lawyer, and his epitaph says doctor, lawyer, legal clerk, forever buried in his work, which is about, you know, how everybody is.
That's great.
Isn't that fun?
Oh, wow.
I know.
That's so cool.
I know.
That's
exactly. Awesome. Have you made it out to Walt Disney World at all? I was just curious.
Yes. I was down there 2014, I think, for
nice.
The Star Wars weekend.
Oh, okay.
The first one, and I went down to Orlando, I think another Star Wars weekend, and then also for Star Wars Celebration. And the Star Wars weekends, I didn't really get a chance to look around very much. I sort of, when my responsibilities were over, we went to Epcot, and we did go to the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
And you know, I just loved it. I loved it so much. And on the last time I was there, when we finished all of our Star Wars Celebration duties, we all as a cast went out and, you know, had all sorts of treats and went on rides together, and it was so much fun. It was really, really great. A great way to kind of close out the weekend.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
It was lovely.
I love Disney, and actually, it was my husband that introduced me to Walt Disney World because he grew up in Quebec, Canada. I grew up I grew up in the West, so I knew Disneyland. He knew Walt Disney World. And that's I do both parks, but Walt Disney World is kind of our go-to park as a family. So it's very near and dear to my heart. You know, do you have any memorable moments during or stories, you know, from your career that you would like to share with us? Because you have such a career. And I'm trying to think here, that was about 23. Is that 23? Yeah, that's 23 years now of your career, which is absolutely fantastic.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. One memory that sticks out and is an on-camera story, but when my mom was on Knots Landing at 10 years old, they needed someone to play my mom's character, Valine Ewing, as a child. So my mom said, well, why don't you have Vanessa do it? So I said, okay. And the director said, and in the scene, Julie Harris played her mom and was arguing in the background, and I was hugging a doll, and I had to cry. And the director came up to me and he said, listen, if you cry, I'll get you a Big Mac. So they said, and action. And then I wept like a newborn. And, you know, I was crying and crying and crying, and everyone clapped when he said cut. You know, clap, clap, clap. Oh, she's a born actress. Oh, look at her, you know. And the director winked at me and he was like, all right, you get your Big Mac. so you know, nothing like food to motivate.
That's
you know,
funny. Yeah. Oh my God, I cried for Big Macs.
It's really it's a really touching scene. I mean, it's not like I wasn't authentically crying, but I just opened my heart and I listened to the screaming in the background, and it was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
So it entered my heart, and it did what it was supposed to, and I got a Big Mac.
Yeah, that's a bonus.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And there's another funny story. One of my first movie jobs, there was a film called Supernova, and I played the voice of the ship computer. Her name was Sweetie. And, you know, she was sort of like a HAL female version of Hal.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie changed hands in terms of direction several times, like one director, the other director. By the time they put in the computer voice, Francis Ford Coppola was the director.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Whoa.
And I remember going into the studio and they put me, he was directing remotely. And he said, Vanessa, what do you think of this ending? I mean, if it's a supernova, do you find that the star eliminating the and I was like, okay, wait,
what?
You did Apocalypse Now, and you seriously are asking my opinion about the ending of this film? But I mean, it had been so controversial, or not controversial, but it had changed hands so many times that I think there were many, many cooks in the kitchen, and he was trying to ultimately create, a cohesive narrative.
Right.
And I just was so honored that he cared what I thought.
Oh my goodness! So did he actually? Did they use that after all? Did they use that?
I think they used sort of a hybrid.
Yeah.
I mean, we all kind of came together to come up with, an ending that was the most compelling. Yeah. And the ship's role in, sort of how it unfolds.
Right.
But that was just a very unexpected, unique experience.
My goodness. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that. But you know what? It makes sense. Why not ask somebody that has been involved in the project from the beginning for their honest opinion, because you had nothing to lose. He had nothing to lose but everything to gain, right? Oh gosh, that's I was freaking out though. Yeah, well, yeah.
I cannot believe this. Yeah, it was really cool.
Oh my gosh. Well, I haven't had the good fortune to meet anybody quite like that. Although I might have met somebody like that this past weekend and not know it at the Tam O'Shanter restaurant in Burbank. But that's another story. I'll tell you off the show at another time.
Okay.
But,
I'm happy to hear they're open. That's great. I love that place.
I know. It was my first time there, and I got to eat. We ate outside, of course, but it was lovely. I was so grateful to be there because I'm an Alberta girl living in the Seattle area. I mean, it's not in my it's not something that I would just hop over to, but I was very fortunate to do that Saturday when I got off the plane. So. I mean, Halloween is so big in the U.S. compared to Canada. I think because we freeze our butts off by this time, Yeah, seriously. Like all our costumes, we have to think about either making them big enough so we can put our snow pants and winter coats on underneath, or just cover them completely. But I just want to know, did you celebrate Halloween yourself when you were, younger? Or
oh, definitely.
You did?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I did celebrate when I was a kid. Absolutely, for sure. As I've gotten older, there's a couple friends I have who live nearby, and we will take a bunch of kids out and we'll sort of chaperone them and take them trick or treating, and we usually wear medical scrubs, and we just sort of. Just as like, we're just there to be helpful,
that's great.
But yeah, it's a fun night. It's a fun night to just sort of dress up and be playful.
It is for sure. No, I'm not sure what I'm doing, if I'm going to go out for dinner dressed up with my husband or not. I do have a few costumes, but there was.
But that's great.
That's
so cool.
I know.
It's unfortunate the pandemic kind of puts a damper on it.
Yeah. And so, the thing is, because we have such a long driveway, we have maybe half a dozen trick-or-treaters at our house. So I don't know if that's going to change. I mean, we don't get very many trick-or-treaters, but I remember, as I said, growing up and then having my own kids trick-or-treating, and I have this really cool costume, Tower of Terror. I'm sure you know about the Hollywood Tower of Terror.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And I'll send you a photo tonight, but it's really fun. My sister made it for me, and I got to wear it to a Disney tea party a few weeks ago, and then I got to wear it again last Saturday night. But I love the whole concept of dressing up, because when do you really get to dress up unless you're on camera? You know what I mean? Shooting a film, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and there, I'll just share when we were in Quebec, living in Quebec. Do you remember the cone heads with Dan
Yes,
Aykroyd?
of course.
Oh my God! So in Quebec, they don't really celebrate. I don't think they really celebrated Halloween at all. They did things somewhat differently than the rest of us. But I'll never forget when the cone heads come out. I bought 4 of them, and my husband and sister and brother-in-law, we went out to this fancy restaurant with our cone heads on in our nice clothes.
That's perfect. That's great.
Yeah, I just like to have fun. But so I just want to get back to your career. Like, if someone wanted to do a similar career that you have, what kind of words of advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, I would go to D. Bradley Baker's website. It is literally www.iwanttobeavoiceactor.com.
Oh.
Oops, excuse me.
Oh.
And I just had a hiccup.
That's okay.
But he is an absolute genius. And he has put every single thing you could possibly need to know all in one location.
Nice.
Just because he's been asked this very question so many times.
Okay.
So that is a massive resource.
Okay.
I would say, much like my own experience, I recommend taking classes.
Mm-hmm.
What is standard is that, one creates voiceover demos for commercial, animation, trailer, promo, on. And those are sort of like your picture and resume for the different genres within voiceover.
Right.
And then, once those are created, you can submit those to a voiceover agent for representation.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there's the issue of being union or non-union.
Mm-hmm.
Most voiceover agents do SAG franchised work. So getting into the union is a bit of a conundrum because you need to be in the union to get a union job.
Right. But how do you get the job with it? Yeah. Chicken before the egg. Kind of thing. Yeah.
But there are also agencies that do non-union work. So, I would say definitely check out Dee's site and consider a bunch of classes before doing a demo.
Right.
And then I would say on sort of a spiritual human level, that the most important thing I would recommend is to cultivate joy in whatever way that works for any individual, whether it's hobbies, if it's horseback riding or painting or music, or I find that when one's heart is full with that kind of soul food, that translates at the microphone and people want to work with that because it feels, one feels more comfortable in their own skin. There's a kind of confidence. There's a joy. There's an intangible essence that I think is part of the magic of voiceover that you can't really teach that.
Right.
But I think every individual has their own wonderful, unique sound and experience that they bring to any situation. So there's enough work for everybody. And I think celebrating whatever that unique element is exactly what ends up helping people work the most. That's been my experience.
That's
so I would say find your joy, and even if you don't book the voiceover job, you've already found your joy anyway. So who cares?
Right, right, and bringing your experiences to the table. I think that is. I mean, you had your martial arts, and you honed in on your dad's being a pilot, and I think being surrounded, and I think also. I don't know. I mean, you can be a voice actor, I guess, at any age, really. But when you've got a lot of life experiences, I can't help but think that has to add to the whole journey of voice acting. I would imagine.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can remember growing up. My mom, she also did voiceover, and back then. She was the voice of Estee Lauder, and they would fly her to New York to do the jobs.
Oh, wow.
I mean, now we just plug in online. Yeah. No one goes anywhere, but it's, she had a very different reality. It was very literal. They recorded to tape, and she had to physically be in that city. And, so it's just so interesting how far we've come technologically.
Yeah.
She also played Spider-Woman. in a cartoon, which is fun. I mean, I was in Spectacular Spider-Man as Mary Jane, not as a superhero, but I just,
that's funny.
I love that, it's just so cool that she too was involved with voiceover stuff, here and there within her very extensive on-camera career.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, I can remember being 10 years old, and she had done a couple episodes of Dallas, and then they called and said, we're doing a spin-off series, and Gary Ewing and his wife are at the helm of it. So would you like to do it? And ironically, the producers, David Jacobs, they pitched Knots Landing first, and they didn't sell that. They sold Dallas, but the real show they wanted to do was Knots Landing. So the way they did that was by making it a spinoff of Dallas, and then they got to do the show that they actually preferred.
Oh, isn't that fun?
And and it was on for 13 years.
That's a long time. That's a very long time.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know. I was blown away.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, you've been doing this for years, and you've got many more years to come. But what's next for you? What can folks? Yeah.
Well, there's another season of Harley Quinn coming. I get to play Wonder Woman in that. That's on HBO Max.
Okay.
And people can look out for the next season of Young Justice, in which I play Black Canary. That's also going to be on HBO Max.
Okay.
And like I said, the Squadron video game is out. It just came out. So if you're into that, you can check out Hera in that capacity.
Okay.
But and I was on an episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, another sci-fi franchise.
Yeah.
And I actually this year got to play RBG on Rick and Morty. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, may she rest in peace. But that was a real fun little cameo, and I love that show. And people can check that out. I think it came out earlier. Maybe a month ago.
Okay.
But anyway, and there are a couple things that I can't announce, but if people want to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter at Van Marshall.
Okay.
And on Instagram at Vanessa Marshall 1138.
Okay.
1138.
Okay.
And I will keep everyone informed on sort of the next
Perfect
bit of good news.
Perfect.
But
okay.
Yeah,
that's great.
At the moment, I'm just grateful to be working from home, and I'm glad that the world of animation and voiceover are still very, active and
real
thriving.
And live.
As far as people needing content and kids needing cartoons, and I'm just grateful that we get to participate in that way. And I'm praying for my friends who are furloughed, and I do hope that we get back to some sense of normalcy soon. And
I've been praying hard too every day. And and the thing is that we will, but just when, I'm not sure. We will, and I want people to know that. I always bring hope to people that
absolutely.
This is not a forever thing.
My favorite line that Hera says is, "We have hope that things will get better, and they will." She says that to Ezra, and I think of her all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm wondering, like, when is this ever going to end? They're like, third wave is coming. I'm like, what is happening? I want to go to Disneyland.
I know. Well, just by the way, they have Disneyland Disney California Adventure. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but for the Christmas season, they are. We're on a Halloween show, but we'll just talk about Christmas briefly here. Cathay Circle, just sort of a street in Disney California Adventure, they're going to open it up for Christmas shopping and different little things like that, as well as some
thank
goodies.
goodness. That's terrific.
Yeah, little seasonal cheer for sure. So,
well, the minute it opens, I'm actually a voice on the Millennium Falcon ride, the Galaxy's Edge.
Are you?
Yeah, and
I've been on that.
Voices on Star Tours, and even in the Haunted Mansion, I think I did a few characters on there, over the years.
Yeah.
But yeah, play the engineer who sort of talks you through the Millennium Falcon flight.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I really want to hear how it came out. My friends would, sort of text me as they're getting off, and you could hear me telling you to have a safe day or whatever.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been on that a few times, but I've always been either the gunner or the pilot, and somebody else has been an engineer. Now I'll have to make sure that I specifically grab the engineer position so that I could listen to you.
Yeah, I think she's around. Yeah. I don't know for sure because I obviously have not. I have not
been
written on it myself, but and I don't know what they used, but
oh, fun.
So interesting.
Oh, you'll have to get on that. Yeah. Well, it's open in Walt Disney World, so if you want to take a quick trip out there,
I'm down there too, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm in both places. The voice on the ride.
Oh, that's awesome.
So much fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that must be a hoot for you to, because you do stuff in a sort of a sterile environment in the studio, and then to actually see it kind of come to life in its full glory, and in an attraction like that. I think that must be just a blast. I really do. Oh my goodness.
Well, there was one year when we did Star Tours, a bunch of us. And a friend of mine, Fred Tatasciore, is on the that California. Oh gosh, what's the ride when you're in the airplane? Man, I can't believe I don't remember the name of it.
Oh gosh, in California, in Disney.
Soarin'.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the glider.
And when the hang glider goes over, he goes, woohoo! That's Fred. But anyway, we did like a bunch of different voices, and we all got to go ride on the rides and hear ourselves. That was an amazing time. We got to go to Ariel's Grotto.
Oh yeah.
And we had a big, huge dinner, and oh man, it was just perfect.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you got me pining for the park. I'm hoping to get. We were very fortunate to get there in August, but I think I really love it. Dressed up for Christmas, it's just so special, and I know that it's different right now, but I still think that there's, just being there on Main Street and experiencing, the great food they have there and things. Yeah. I think that'll just make it, and all the decorations. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. You can't find a place like that, I'm sorry, anywhere with that kind of gorgeous, atmosphere and that. So, but Vanessa, we're going to wrap up right away here, but thank you so much for sharing. And every time I talk to you, I find out at least something new that I didn't know before. That's how I found out a few things.
Awesome.
But listen, you have a nice Halloween weekend and stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. And we'll be in touch as usual. But glad to hear everything is going so well for you and that you took the time out of your crazy schedule to spend with us tonight.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful, safe Halloween.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Okie doke. Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness. So I just, that just makes me smile. I have, I really like Vanessa. I've met her in person. I've known her for a little bit now, and she's just such a genuine human, as so many Disney and Star Wars folks are. And Lauren, I just want to comment about nothing motivates like food when you're a kid. I think that it's just, gosh, I'm thinking the last time I had a Big Mac, I don't even know how old I was when I had a Big Mac, but I think that's just fun. And the director really pulled a good one to get that out of her for sure. And Michelle, yes, Disney is magical at Christmas, even though it is different right now. There is still something very special about the place. Guys, I want to bid you a good night and a happy Halloween. And thank you so much for joining me today. And I will see you. Actually, I'll be I'm going to be putting up a rerun next Wednesday, and I'll be back the following week with a very special guest on the 11th, which is Veterans Day, and it's actually Canada's Remembrance Day. So you guys have a wonderful week. Stay safe and be well. And thanks again for joining me. I'm Kimberly Bouchard for the Positively Disney podcast. Good night.